Right now, there's a man watching this who thinks he's different. He thinks his situation with that married woman is special, unique, that they have something real. He's convinced himself that she's trapped in a loveless marriage, that he's her escape, her true love, her soulmate who arrived too late. And in about 10 minutes, I'm going to shatter that illusion so completely that you'll wonder how you ever believed it in the first place. But first, let me tell you what's actually happening in your brain right now. You're not in love. You're in a neurochemical prison of your own making. Every secret text, every stolen moment, every time she says she wishes she'd met you first, your brain floods with dopamine levels that actual cocaine users would recognize. You're literally addicted to a woman who goes home to another man every night. And the sickest part? Your brain interprets this torture as passion. See, when you're involved with a married woman, you're not having a relationship. You're participating in a psychological pattern so predictable that I could write your entire story without knowing a single detail about you. The meetings, the promises, the guilt, the hope, the devastating ending, it's all predetermined. You're not writing a love story. You're following a script that millions of men before you have followed, word for word, thinking they were the exception. Let me be brutally clear about something. That woman who tells you her husband doesn't understand her, doesn't touch her, that they're basically roommates, she's performing, not just for you, but for herself, because admitting the truth that she's simply someone who wants the security of marriage and the excitement of affairs would require a level of self-awareness that would destroy her entire self-image. So instead, she creates a narrative where she's the victim, you're the hero, and her husband is the villain. And you believe it because you need to believe it, because without that story, you're just a guy sleeping with another man's wife. Here's the thing about women who cheat. This isn't their first rodeo. Despite what she tells you about never doing this before, about you being special, about how she's never felt this way, she's lying. Maybe not consciously, but she's lying. A woman doesn't just wake up one day and decide to have an affair. It's a progression, a cultivation of the ability to betray. It starts with emotional boundaries being crossed, then flirtation, then inappropriate friendships, and finally physical affairs. By the time she gets to you, she's already practiced this dance. You're not her first, and you won't be her last. Think about what kind of person can kiss their children goodnight, tell their husband they're going to yoga, then drive to your apartment. This requires a level of compartmentalization that's almost sociopathic. She's literally living multiple lives, and in each one, she's the hero of her own story. With her husband, she's the long-suffering wife. With you, she's the passionate woman trapped by circumstance. With her friends, she's either the perfect wife or the woman bravely considering her options. None of these versions are real. They're all performances, and you're just an audience member who thinks he's the co-star. Let's walk through exactly how this plays out, because your story follows one of 4 scenarios. No exceptions, no special cases, just variations on the same devastating theme. Scenario 1 is the woman who's hunting for validation. She's bored, feeling invisible, maybe hitting an age where she's questioning her desirability. Enter you, looking at her like she's a goddess, hanging on her every word, making her feel like the main character again. But understand this, she doesn't want you. She wants what you represent. Every compliment you give, every time you choose her over your own life, she gets a hit of the validation drug she's craving. You're not a lover. You're a mirror reflecting back the image of herself she needs to see. This woman will be incredibly passionate at first. The sex will be mind-blowing. The connection will feel supernatural. She'll say things like, "I've never felt this alive." But watch what happens once she's gotten her fill of validation. Once she knows she's still got it, that men still want her, she'll start pulling away. The excuses begin. Things are complicated. Her husband is suspicious. She needs time to think. What she's really saying is that you've served your purpose. She's recharged her ego battery, and now you're just a complication she needs to dispose of. The second scenario is more sinister. This is the woman who's addicted to drama itself. She doesn't love you. She loves the story of you, the secrecy, the danger, the emotional intensity. She's the director, writer, and star of her own personal soap opera. She'll create crisis after crisis. One week she's definitely leaving him. The next week she can't because of finances. Then it's the children. Then she's confused about her feelings. Then she loves only you. Then she needs space to think. You're not in a relationship. You're in a psychological torture chamber she's designed for her own entertainment. This woman feeds off your pain. When you beg her to choose, when you pour your heart out, when you're literally shaking with the need to be with her, That's when she feels most alive. She has two men orbiting around her, fighting for her attention, proving her worth. She'll never choose because choosing ends the game, and the game is what she's addicted to. She'll keep you in this limbo for months, years even, always promising that resolution is just around the corner, always pulling back just when you think you're getting somewhere. The third scenario seems like victory at first. She actually leaves her husband for you. After all the waiting, all the pain, she finally chooses you. But watch what happens next. The moment she's fully available, something fundamental shifts. The excitement that defined your relationship evaporates. Suddenly, you're just another boyfriend with morning breath and work stress. The fantasy is dead, replaced by the mundane reality of actual life. And here's the kicker, she resents you for it. You were supposed to be the escape from ordinary life, the proof that love could be like the movies. But you're just another regular man, and now she's just another regular relationship, except with the added baggage of being with someone who left their spouse for you. Within months, she'll start showing the same signs of dissatisfaction she claimed to have with her husband. She'll become distant, critical, always looking for something more. And eventually she'll find it, with another married man probably, recreating the exact same pattern that brought you together. The fourth scenario is psychological warfare at its finest. She never leaves, never truly commits to leaving, but keeps you perpetually hoping. She's mastered the art of giving you just enough to keep you hooked, but never enough to satisfy. A text here, a stolen afternoon there, constant promises that things will change soon, that she just needs more time, that you have to be patient. Years pass. Your entire life becomes a waiting room for a future that will never arrive. This woman knows exactly what she's doing. She knows she's never leaving her marriage, but she also knows that as long as she keeps feeding you crumbs of hope, you'll stay loyal, available, a permanent backup plan for her emotional and physical needs. You're not her lover, you're her emotional support animal, there whenever she needs validation, excitement, or escape from her real life. Now let's talk about what's really happening psychologically when you're with a married woman. You're not experiencing love, you're experiencing limerence amplified by intermittent reinforcement, the most addictive behavioral pattern known to psychology. Every behavioral scientist knows that random rewards create stronger addiction than consistent ones. Sometimes she texts back immediately, sometimes she disappears for days, sometimes she's passionate and present, sometimes distant and guilty. Your brain becomes a slot machine junkie, pulling the lever again and again, never knowing when the payout will come. The scarcity principle makes everything worse. Because you can't have her fully, your brain overvalues her. It's basic economics applied to emotions. If she were available all the time, calling whenever she wanted, spending every weekend with you, your brain would normalize. She'd become ordinary. But because every moment is stolen, forbidden, limited, your brain treats each interaction like the most precious drug on earth. And here's what nobody tells you. She knows this. Maybe not intellectually, but instinctively, she understands that her unavailability is what keeps you hooked. The moment she becomes fully available, she loses her power, her mystery, her appeal. So even if she could leave, even if circumstances allowed it, she often won't. Because being desired by two men, being the center of this dramatic triangle, gives her a sense of importance that a normal relationship never could. Let me destroy another illusion for you. Despite what she tells you about her dead bedroom, about how they never touch anymore, she's probably still sleeping with her husband. Those nights when she can't text because he's being suspicious, they're having sex. That weekend trip she took with him, for appearances. They shared a bed, and not just for sleeping. The idea that they're living like roommates is a fantasy she needs you to believe, because admitting she's actively maintaining both relationships would shatter the narrative that makes you feel special. Her husband probably knows something's going on, maybe not the specifics, maybe not your name, but he senses it. The changed passwords, the new lingerie, the emotional distance, the sudden interest in fitness or new hobbies. Men aren't as oblivious as cheating wives like to believe. But here's what will really mess with your head. He might not even care that much. Some men are relieved when their wives have affairs. It takes pressure off them, reduces expectations for intimacy and emotional labour. Your grand romance might just be his convenient excuse to focus on work, hobbies, or his own side activities. Think about the psychology of a woman who can maintain these parallel lives. She tells her husband she loves him in the morning, texts you the same words at lunch, helps her kids with homework in the evening, then sexts you before bed. This level of compartmentalization, this ability to fragment herself into different personas for different people, is a massive red flag for personality disorders. And you want to build a future with someone capable of this level of deception? The damage this inflicts on your own psychology is catastrophic. You become comfortable with deception. Lying becomes second nature. You develop the ability to smile at gatherings knowing you're destroying families. Your moral compass doesn't just break, it dissolves entirely. And once you've crossed these ethical lines, once you've become comfortable being the other man, you've fundamentally altered who you are. You can't just flip a switch and become trustworthy again. You've trained yourself to be someone who takes what isn't his. Let's talk about what happens when it ends, because it always ends. When she finally ghosts you, chooses her husband definitively, or moves on to the next guy, you'll experience a psychological collapse that makes normal breakups look like minor disappointments. You're not just losing a relationship, you're losing the entire fantasy structure that's been keeping you functional. All those promises, plans, that waiting, it was for nothing. You sacrificed your integrity, possibly your own marriage, your self-respect, years of your life for someone who was using you as an emotional buffer against the dissatisfaction of her real life. The recovery is brutal. Men describe feeling like they've awakened from a spell, looking back at their behavior with horror and disbelief. The shame is overwhelming. How could they have been so blind? The regret is crushing. All that wasted time, all those compromised values, and the isolation is complete. You can't even seek sympathy because you were the villain in everyone else's version of this story. You were the homewrecker, the other man, the one people judge and despise. Some men never fully recover. They become bitter, cynical, unable to trust or be trusted. They've seen what they're capable of, what women are capable of, and they can't unsee it. Every future relationship is poisoned by suspicion and cynicism. The married woman didn't just waste their time, she broke their ability to love and be loved normally. They become emotional cripples, unable to fully connect because they're always waiting for betrayal, always expecting deception. But here's what really haunts you afterward. The realization that she never loved you. Not really. She loved what you provided. Excitement, validation, escape. She loved how you made her feel, not who you were. You could have been anyone. Any reasonably attractive, emotionally available man could have played your role. You weren't her soulmate. You were her distraction, her drug, her temporary fix for a permanent problem within herself. And if you're brutally honest, you knew this all along. Deep down, beneath all the rationalization and fantasy, you knew she would never really choose you. You knew you were playing a game rigged against you. But the addiction was stronger than awareness. The high of those stolen moments seemed worth the guaranteed devastation. You became complicit in your own destruction, and that knowledge will haunt you long after she's forgotten your name. Here's a truth that will sting. While you're destroyed by the ending, she'll be fine. She has her husband, her home, her life intact. She'll probably find another emotional affair within months, maybe weeks. She'll feed the new guy the same lines about her loveless marriage, make the same promises about leaving someday, create the same artificial drama. You weren't special. You were just this season's storyline in her ongoing series. Meanwhile, let's examine what's happening to everyone else in this scenario. Her husband, whether he knows or not, is being betrayed daily. He's living with someone who looks him in the eye and lies, who's made their marriage a performance while seeking authenticity elsewhere. Her children, if she has them, sense the tension, the secrets, the emotional absence of a mother who's psychologically split between multiple worlds. They're learning that love is deception, that commitment is optional, that family is a facade. And you, every moment you participate in this, you're choosing destruction over construction. You're actively participating in the dissolution of a family, the betrayal of vows, the corruption of your own character. You tell yourself it's love, but love doesn't require victims. Love doesn't build itself on someone else's pain. What you're doing isn't romantic. It's selfish, destructive, and ultimately pointless. If you're in this situation right now, here's what you need to understand. Every day you stay is a day you're choosing pain, not just for yourself, but for everyone involved. You're not living a love story, you're participating in a tragedy where everyone loses. Her husband loses a faithful wife. Her children lose an intact family, you lose your integrity and years of your life, and she loses the ability to face and fix her actual problems. The solution is simple but not easy. Complete severance. No goodbye meetings, no closure conversations, no staying friends, no checking her social media. Every contact restarts the addiction cycle. You need total detox. Yes, it will feel like dying. That's withdrawal, not heartbreak. You're not losing love, you're breaking free from psychological prison. But here's the deeper work. You need to understand why you chose this. What void in you made unavailable love seem attractive? What about the drama and pain felt familiar, even comfortable? Were you recreating some childhood pattern where love had to be earned, fought for, never quite secure? These are the questions that will prevent you from repeating this pattern, because, and this is crucial, if you don't address the root cause, you'll do it again. Maybe not with a married woman, but with someone equally unavailable. An emotionally distant partner, someone with addiction issues, someone who can't fully commit. You'll recreate the same painful dynamic because it's what your broken psychology recognizes as love. The work of recovery isn't just about getting over her. It's about rebuilding your entire understanding of what love actually is. Real love is available, consistent, honest. It doesn't require secrecy or victims. It builds rather than destroys. It's probably less intense than what you experienced with her, but intensity isn't depth. Drama isn't connection. Pain isn't passion. If you're married yourself, you have even more work ahead. You've betrayed someone who trusted you completely. Whether your marriage survives or not, you owe your spouse honesty. Not detailed confessions that only serve to unburden your guilt, while burdening them with images they'll never forget, but the fundamental truth that you've been unfaithful. They deserve the chance to make an informed decision about their future, and you need to face the consequences of your choices, not hide behind more deception. The man you were before this affair is gone. You can't return to that innocence, but you can become something better, someone who's faced their capacity for destruction and chosen construction instead. Someone who's seen the dark side of desire and chosen the light of integrity. Someone who knows the cost of forbidden love and realizes it's too expensive. Here's what's waiting on the other side of this pain: the possibility of real connection with someone actually available. Someone who can introduce you to their friends without lies, spend holidays with you without guilt, build a future that doesn't require destroying someone else's present. Someone who chooses you fully, not as an escape or distraction, but as a partner. But you'll never find that while you're wasting your life in hotel rooms and parked cars with someone else's wife. Every moment you spend with her is a moment stolen from your real life. Every text you wait for is an opportunity missed. Every night you spend dreaming about a future with her is a night you could have spent building something real with someone available. The hardest truth is that part of you doesn't want to leave. Part of you is addicted to the intensity, the drama, the feeling of being chosen even if you're never fully chosen. That part of you would rather live in this painful fantasy than face regular reality. But that part isn't your friend. It's the same part that would choose any destructive high over sustainable happiness. The choice is yours, but understand this. Every day you don't choose yourself, you're choosing pain. And eventually, that pain will become all that you have left. The woman will move on, find another distraction, another man who believes her stories about her terrible marriage, but you'll be left with the wreckage, the wasted years, the compromised values, the bitter knowledge that you played yourself. So the question becomes, are you going to be just another cautionary tale, another man who lost everything for a woman who was never really available? Or are you going to be the man who recognized the trap and walked away while he still could? The man who chose difficult truth over comfortable lies? The man who decided his integrity was worth more than stolen moments with someone else's wife? Because here's what she'll never tell you but what you need to know. She doesn't respect you. How could she? You're the man willing to accept scraps of her attention, to wait in the shadows, to be her dirty secret. She may desire you, may even feel affection for you, but respect, never. She respects her husband more, even if she claims to hate him, because at least he's the one she chose publicly, officially, legitimately, and deep down, you don't respect yourself either. Every time you accept this situation, every time you settle for being the other man, you're telling yourself you don't deserve better. You're reinforcing the belief that you're not worthy of full, complete, public love. That's the real tragedy here. Not that she won't choose you, but that you won't choose yourself. The path forward requires courage, but not the kind you might think. Not the courage to fight for her, or wait for her, or prove your love. The courage to walk away. The courage to admit you've been living a lie. The courage to face withdrawal and loneliness in the absence of those intense highs. The courage to believe you deserve better, even when every cell in your body is screaming for just one more text, one more meeting, one more hit of that destructive drug. Start today. Delete her number. Block her on everything. Tell someone trustworthy what's been happening. Shame thrives in secrecy, but dies in the light of confession. Get professional help if needed, not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to admit you need support breaking free from something this psychologically addictive. And then, day by day, rebuild. Not just your life, but your understanding of what love actually is. Because what you had with her wasn't love. It was addiction dressed up as romance, destruction masquerading as destiny. Real love is waiting for you, but you'll never find it while you're hiding in the shadows with someone who belongs to someone else. The ultimate truth is this: you already know everything I've told you. Some part of you has always known this was wrong, unsustainable, destructive. But knowing and acting are different things. The question now is whether you'll continue to betray your own knowledge, your own instincts, your own worth, or whether today is the day you finally choose yourself over the fantasy. Because that's what this is really about. Not her choosing you, but you choosing you. Not winning her from her husband, but winning yourself back from this addiction. Not proving your love to her, but proving to yourself that you're worthy of real, available, honest love. That's what every man must know about being with a married woman. It's not a love story, it's a cautionary tale, and you get to decide whether it ends with your destruction or your liberation. Choose wisely. Your entire future depends on it.